now I would like to welcome everybody to the Human Relations Commission regular meeting for the city of Palo Alto. Today is May 13th, 2021. I would like to start with roll call. If we can have staff do roll call, please.
Commissioner Duda-Ray.
Here.
Commissioner Regier.
Here.
Commissioner Savage.
Here.
Chair Smith. Chair Smith.
Present.
Vice Chair Stinger.
Here.
Thank you.
Do we have any agenda changes, requests, or deletions?
I would like to make a change
Yes.
or deletion. I would like to put our item, which is item 5, on hold or table it.
We can. Okay. Can I get a vote on the commission's table that item, just so that we have it in the record as a voted item? Can I get a second on tabling that item?
I don't think if it's not,
We don't need a vote on that?
I don't believe you need to vote on that.
Okay, good. All right. We are now at oral communications. We have 0 attendees. There is no oral communication. We're sure we let everybody in?
We have one.
Okay. All right. We're gonna open for oral communications. We have no oral communications at this time. All right, thank you. Let's go to our agenda. It is my distinct pleasure. We usually wait to the end of the meeting to do this, but I felt it was absolutely critical to do it at the beginning of the meeting this time. We are recognizing the amazing service of our Vice Chair, Valerie Stinger. I remember about 6 years ago, as I was pastoring my church in Palo Alto, she engaged us to start talking about race and taught me what the Human Relations Commission was and the work we did. We worked on one project together, which was amazing. I remember when me, Minka, and Valerie looked up and we had packed out the entire community center space in the library. And I was like, Minka, dude, is this how many people usually come to an HRC meeting? She's like, no, that's not what it is. So it's about 150 people, 200 people, and we had a profound discussion on race in Palo Alto and in diversity. And ever since then, I've been blessed to work with Valerie, and because of her encouragement and her constant encouraging me to stay engaged is why I'm able to do the work I'm doing in the city of Palo Alto. At this time, I want to if there are any other words from any other commissioners, I would love for them to share it at this time. I'm not going to be as formal. Daryl, I'll start with Daryl because she raised her hand first, and then we will go as commissioners feel. Yes, Commissioner Savage.
Okay, so Valerie, in my many years on the HRC, I've seen a lot of people come and go, but every so often there's a commissioner and you know right away they're going to make a difference, and that would be you. Your kindness, your compassion, your commitment to the HRC is undeniable. You're a hard worker and you do it with understated grace. You don't do it to stand out or be a star, but that's exactly what you've become. You are a standout, you are a star, and it's been a privilege to work with you. So a big thanks, a virtual kiss, a virtual hug, and you cannot be replaced.
Thank you, Commissioner Commissioner Regier.
Valerie, Valerie, you sort of took me under your wings, and I just want to say thank you so much. You're when I was completely new to this commission or any commissions, I really appreciate all, meeting with me and discussing things. And I just want to say thank you for all the things that you've done and got the community to be discussing issues. And I hope we carry it on.
I want to give Commissioner Duterte.
Yes, please. Similar to Patty, I have to say that when I joined the Human Relations Commission just recently, when I started, Valerie reached out to me and just really encouraged me. And I feel like she took me under her wing and really mentored me and helped me understand the rules and how to keep things moving forward, and sort of consistently encouraged me to keep digging in and keep up the work. I'm not as familiar with the large body of work that Valerie has done. I hear some stories about it, and it seems, and if the last 7-8 months are any indication, I can imagine that there's been a tremendous amount of work, and you have every right now to kick back a little bit and take a little break and enjoy retirement from the Human Relations Commission. And I really personally, on a personal level, look forward to being able to go for some hikes with you and be able to talk about whatever we want without breaking any rules. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we can actually have the full conversation now without talking about Mr. Brown's act.
Oh, that's great.
Staff, do we want to say anything?
I was right answering my names. It has been my utmost pleasure to work with Valerie the last 6 or more years. I mean, we have served on, well, since I'm staff, it feels a little different, but I have worked with Valerie on so many projects, and everyone has been a complete pleasure. And I really feel like, Valerie, you're a commissioner, but the relationship we've had always felt like you were like a good friend as well. And I hope and know that will remain the case, but your dedication, your attention to detail, your connections in the community have just been amazing. When I talk to my colleagues, and always I'm singing your praises, and always, city leadership knows what an amazing job you have done on this commission. So I will miss you. I didn't have to worry about the Brown Act, but I hope since when I get back to the office, you will just be 3 blocks away, that we can meet at Pete's for coffee, or just go to Mike's Cafe for lunch.
I hope so.
I know the folks at PAMP, when we had our last call, they were like, so Valerie is not here, who's replacing her? Because she was super valuable. That was like agenda, that was above the bylaws agenda item. But we will have Valerie with us, not as a commissioner, but she is going to finish up one project with us on our community outreach. So she'll be around, and she'll probably be at 1 or 2 more meetings to just report out on it as a guest. She gets one of the other cubes, not the commissioner cubes, but we're so grateful. Her work will be indelible, because they say legacy is legacy is 2 things. Legacy's first, the body of work, but the second part is the people that you impact, and you had a profound impact on the people in this commission, in this city. So thank you for all the amazing work, Valerie. Would you like to say anything?
I did have a few things I wanted to say, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to try. That was really lovely. That was just lovely. Thank you, Daryl, Sunita, Patty, Minka, and Coloma. Huge thanks. I remember that first meeting you had at the church when it became clear to me what I wanted to do on the commission. And I think we've made a big headway, and that's what I wanted to comment on, that it has been a fabulous 6-year run. I want to particularly thank Minka and Mary for standing by with some overzealous asks, things that we tried to do, and I think we did. And I'd like to thank the chair and the commissioners, past and present, who added wisdom and folded chairs and swept popcorn. 150 people leave a lot of folded chairs to tend to. The highlights were being different together with Dr. Joseph Brown and the subsequent workshops. The listening forum at Mitchell Park that grew into the LGBTQ summit and finally ended with county funding for the program at Alvenitas to assist seniors. LGBTQ plus seniors was a huge excitement peak. And then we had invited speakers like Rob Wilner and Jennifer Eberhardt. I mean, whoever thought I'd get to be in the same room with people of that caliber? That was so exciting. And of course, this year, the Black and Brown Palo Alto History and Current Experience. And now we're leading into the 100 community conversations about race. I do have to say that I finished with a lot of satisfaction, but at the same time, I acknowledge some sadness in that work that was left undone. In particular, seeing 8 Can't Wait, come through in its full force, and the follow-up work, and a strategy for homeless and houseless individuals leaves me saddened. And it wouldn't be honest if I neglected to add my hope that the council takes the work we do seriously, and if they do, they restore this commission to 7 members. And if I can take a privilege, I'd like to read one of my 2 favorite poems. I've been attending the Book to Action workshops that the library has run. And I now know the lexicon of why this poem is important, but I'm just going to leave it as I like it. And I'd like to read it. It's Theme for English B by Langston Hughes. The instructor said, "Go home and write a page tonight, and let that page come out of you. Then it will be true." I wonder if it's that simple. I'm 22, colored, born in Winston-Salem. I went to school there, then Durham, then here to this college on the hill above Harlem. I am the only colored student in my class. The steps from Hill lead down into Harlem, through a park, then across St. Nicholas, 8th Avenue, 7th, and I come to the Y, the Harlem Branch Y, where I take the elevator up to my room, sit down, and write this page. It's not easy to know what is true for you or me at 22, my age, but I guess I'm what I feel and see and hear. Harlem, I hear you, hear me, we too, you, me talk on this page. I hear New York too, me who? Well, I like to eat, sleep, drink, and be in love. I like to work, read, learn, and understand life. I like a pipe for a Christmas present, or records, Bessie, Bop, or Bach. I guess being colored doesn't make me not like the same things other folks like who are other races. So will my page be colored that I write? Being me, it will not be white, but it will be part of you, instructor, and you are white. You are a part of me as I am a part of you. That's American. Sometimes perhaps you don't want to be a part of me, nor do I often want to be a part of you, but we are, that's true. And I learn from you, and I guess you learn from me, although you're older and white and sometimes more free. This is my page for English B. And that's my share for you.
That is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. All right. I would like to move on to item number 2. Where we are going to bring in a Palo Alto mediation program. I've had the pleasure of working in closely with them for 2 or 3 years now. And one of the things I am grateful for is the evolution of relationship. We understand that over time, we face relationships change, the space and place that we need to work can change. Or first year, some challenges. Second year, Commissioner Stinger did a phenomenal job working with them earlier in the process as far as getting the right mediators. I've actually met with some of their staff as far as getting more diversity in the body and talking about policies. And I had a phenomenal meeting as we discussed the updating of their bylaws. The one thing I have learned in all organizations is that bylaws are not setting concrete. Bylaws are a simple reflection of the current situation at the time and the hopes of that moment. And after meeting with them, I feel like they have made some thoughtful points on the bylaws that they would like to adjust that give the right amount of public oversight, but allow for great flexibility. So I'd like for them to present it this time.
Chair, if you won't mind if I can just interject for 1 second. So Marletta, I don't know if you saw my email. I think yours from earlier today went in some file other than my inbox. And since it was the attachments are as an Outlook item, we can't open it. So if you wanted to resend, or if you just want to share screen yourself, I think, Mary, do you have to do anything to allow, or I think all panelists can share screen. So if you want to, we just want to take a minute reprieve and allow you to do that, or you could try sending to us again. What would you prefer, Marletta?
I can just try to share screen. It may be
Okay.
a little bit more clunky, the presentation, because we're trying to go back and forth. If you just give us a little bit of.
Right, or like I said, you can send it to me and I can try, but we could not, Mary and I both could not open your file.
I wonder if it was because it's a keynote instead of a PowerPoint. So do you know if that causes an issue? I don't know if it'd be worth.
I don't know. It came through as, like I said, I did not realize it was there because it went straight to it did not go to my inbox.
Okay, I will just try to share screen once it's loading right now. So we'll see if that works. In the meantime, I will just give me 2 seconds and I will try to resend the email.
Okay.
Send just to see if this one, if you can catch it, but.
Right.
Sorry, 1 second.
That's okay.
Sorry, I didn't see.
Trying to communicate with hands, you can't walk up and go whisper in someone's ear anymore.
It's not that easy. All right. Sorry, it's still loading. My laptop is a little old, so it does work, but it takes a minute.
That is okay. Like I said, I'm sorry. It just did not
Oh,
come
that's
into my inbox.
Aruna, do you know, while I'm trying to load it, can you actually try to re-email the slide deck? I think doing both of those things is causing.
Yeah, I'll do that. I just sent it.
Okay, I will await getting it.
Hopefully that will work because it doesn't seem to want to
Okay.
load at the same time that I'm on Zoom. Might be too much for it.
Oh, I just said it, but I have Keynote. I use that a lot. You want to mail?
Okay.
So it did just launch for me. Minka, do you know if you got it?
You know, what's happening is I don't think our programs are compatible because
Okay.
it's coming up to forms that are my personal forms and not your form. I can try sending it to Mary as well.
I think that's normally, she might be working on a Mac, maybe? Are you working on a Mac?
It is a Mac. I think Marletta, if you
is.
show, because
Sure.
I think
Yeah,
it might
well,
be interoperability issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would use Keynote if that helps.
I don't know as if I can get it to play while I share. So I will try to share and then see if I can make it play. Can you see that as a slide?
It is beautiful.
Okay, now we'll see if I can make it advance. Okay.
See? Beautiful.
All right. Thank you. So thank you, Chair Smith. So we would like to start today by thanking you for having us at your HRC meeting. Marlita and I are the co-chairs for the Palo Alto Mediation Program. We have actually met you all once before when we presented last October. And tonight we have Sonia Hernandez here with us, who is our new case manager from Project Sentinel. We wanted to take a moment to introduce her to you. And Sonia, if you're able to, do you want to say, tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my name is Sonia Hernandez. I have a background in social work, mostly in the state of Arizona. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. I have my master's in social work, and I've been working, I've worked in subsidized housing with older adults, working with both the residents and the property managers. I have experience in behavioral health, and I've provided risk reduction counseling through the AIDS Foundation. And that's just a couple of the opportunities I've had. I'm excited to be part of Palo Alto Mediation through Project Sentinel. And thanks for having me here. And I look forward to working with everybody.
Thank you, Sonia. Next slide, please. First, we would like to start with a little background, which might help set the context for some of these changes. The Palo Alto Mediation Program originally grew out of the HRC. In fact, in the early years, HRC commissioners themselves responded to community requests for mediation. Initially, there were only a few requests per year, mostly related to tenant-landlord issues. As the number of requests increased, the HRC decided to create the Rental Housing Mediation Task Force to assist it with these responsibilities. In the 1980s, the types of requests coming in broadened to areas including neighbor-neighbor, commercial issues, and so the task force was renamed the Mediation Task Force. Eventually, this evolved to the Palo Alto Mediation Program as it became increasingly independent and was staffed with volunteer mediators from the community. As the volume of mediation requests increased, the city recognized the need to provide phone and administrative support to PAMP and initially contracted with the Palo Alto Area Information and Referral Service. In 1999, Project Sentinel took over this administrative role and expanded the scope of the program to include providing free counseling to tenants and landlords regarding their rights and responsibilities, local ordinances, etc. In the early 2000s, PAMP became self-governing when it adopted a code of ethics, standards of practice, and bylaws. Next slide, please.
For the last 20 years, PAMP has been an independent self-governing organization staffed by trained volunteer mediators. And during that time, the HRC has continued to play a role in providing oversight. However, in the last few years, we've come to believe that consistent involvement and collaboration is more beneficial. So this past year, we worked to strengthen and broaden the role of our HRC liaison by including her earlier and more often in our conversations, ranging from recruitment to outreach. In the same way, we now rely more heavily on Project Sentinel's expertise in tenant-landlord services. This increased focus on relationships and connections resulted in our ability to be more nimble and flexible in responding to the changing landscape of 2020, and thus to better serve our community.
So why now? As we mentioned on the last slide, the increased impact of having a closer connection with our HRC liaison led us to want to codify that approach going forward. And for 2021, we also specifically wanted to include more of our values around inclusivity and diversity. We also wanted to update our bylaws to align with other city groups. In addition, we had some operational processes that have evolved over the years, and we wanted our bylaws to reflect those changes. Specifically, we wanted to update outdated processes and streamline less effective ones. Finally, our last documented bylaws update was back in 2003. And this year, our membership decided it was time to take them up. Next one, please.
The specific changes were documented in the packet you received, but here we wanted to take a minute to summarize them. PAMP has always held the values of inclusivity and diversity, but in 2021, we felt it was important to emphasize them more in our bylaws. So we added language in different areas, including, for example, language that our members should be sensitive to diversity, in addition to representative of the community. Our change related to outreach was also focused on inclusivity by emphasizing improved accessibility for our services. Our goal for our recruitment changes was to ensure that the HRC and Project Sentinel have a high level of input and influence over the process and outcome going forward, rather than via a cursory vote at the end. Having the early involvement of our HRC liaison and the addition of selection criteria as a means to include city and HRC priorities worked extremely well this past year, and we wanted to cement this approach. Equally important was having our HRC liaison and Project Sentinel as 2 of 5 members on our selection committee, providing input and voting on each individual candidate. This resulted in a true collaboration between PAMP, Project Sentinel, and the HRC, and resulted in a stronger, more diverse slate of candidates. For our updated amendment process, we now require review by Project Sentinel as our program administrator, approval by the city, and then reporting to the HRC. Two key operational changes we made are that we're updating how we vote internally, as well as removing mayoral appointments for our members. The changes to minutia included various minor grammar and formatting changes. One example is that we updated the language throughout our bylaws to change the PAMP to simply PAMP, a la the Facebook.
As for the process we followed to arrive at these updates, hopefully you've had a chance to read the details. Here we just wanted to highlight that in this process, we socialized the proposed changes and then incorporated the feedback we received. We found this process to be extremely successful since it led to a healthy dialogue throughout the process. And at the end, it led to the unanimous agreement and approval by both our bylaws subcommittee and the PAMP membership. Before we open it up for discussion, Marlita and I would like to take a moment to thank our HRC liaison for all of her time and partnership this past year. PAMP greatly benefited from her input and support. So thank you, Commissioner Stinger, on behalf of PAMP.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I felt like you guys did a phenomenal job. What I'd like to do is let's go a 2-minute round of comments from the commission. We'll go to public comment, and then if we have some more questions or stuff from the commissioners, we'll go there. Let us start from the bottom of the alphabet. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Marletta and Aruna. That was a very clear presentation. I guess since I've worked through this with you, I really don't have any questions. I think you've done a good job of focusing us on the changes and the reasons for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Savage.
Yeah, no questions from me either, but it was a great presentation, very thorough, very easy to understand, and thanks for your time doing it.
Okay. Commissioner Gare?
I just want to say thank you to everyone, because I think that before I joined, I watched all the meetings of the HRC, most of them, some of them I watched twice. Sometimes I watched 3 of them. And one of them I watched was regarding mediation and diversity. And I just want to say that I think that it's a thrill to watch how you guys have grown and been inclusive. And it's also, I'm really grateful that you are looking at the Human Relations Commission as an asset to help you. And so I just want to thank you and for all of your work.
Thank you.
So as I stated in my introduction, I feel like that changes are well thought out. I felt like there is significant community input at the beginning of the process. It's not reactionary, it's actually a partnership. By having Sentinel and HRC involved early, it really does advocate for those on the rental side and get diversity. So I think not only is the gesture well, but I do feel like the actual formatting and process really does front load the process instead of things being reactionary later on. So thank you for doing the hard work of this. Commissioner Budgetary.
Similarly, I just wanted to thank you for that background and helping bring me up to speed and get a real historical sense of the organization and how it's evolved. And similar to Chair Smith, I think that bringing in the HRC earlier, the liaison and working with them directly seems like a great change. And I have no real questions regarding any of the changes to the bylaws. Thank you so much.
Do we have any public comment at this time?
I see no raised hands, Chair.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll just ask the folks from PAMF, is there a specific motion that you're looking for, or just, I'd have to go back and look in your report.
I don't know how you state it. I think it's approval of our amendments to our bylaws.
That's fine. I just wanted to look back to see if you had a recommended motion already written out. So we will entertain that from any of the commissioners.
Commissioner Stinger?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that the Human Relations Commission appreciates the work that went into making the PAMP bylaws current and responsive to the community. And we approve the bylaw updates for 2021, written in 2021.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second from Commissioner Savage. We will go for a vote at this point. Commissioner Tiria?
Aye.
Commissioner Regier?
Aye.
Commissioner Savage?
Aye.
Commissioner Stinger?
Aye.
Chair Smith? Aye. We have a unanimous vote, Palo Alto mediation. We are so grateful for the continued work you do in this community, and we're grateful for your continued evolution. Any way that we can partner with you as the Human Relations Commission will be our pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. We are on to our next item. As many of you are well aware, the city of Palo Alto, like many cities, are facing significant budgetary issues. With I believe the number is $13 million short on our budget, and the city council, city manager, and others are trying to cover the gap and figure it out. So it puts a lot of pressure on every department, not just some departments, every department. So right now, I want staff to give us a quick update. You did receive an email from staff earlier describing some of the budgetary challenges facing Human Services Department, but I know there is a little bit of updated information. We probably will not do an action item on this because there is still dialogue. There's still two significant pieces of dialogue that need to happen. There is the working with the labor unions, and then there is the federal funding. So as staff describes it, we will not take an action tonight, but we'll probably hold out till June to take an action. But I wanted to bring you up to speed so you're aware of what the budgetary issues are that might impact us and what work we do. Is that helpful, Minka?
Well, what I would say is if those of you who have read information about the budget on Palo Alto Online or in other sources and in the resources that I gave for you, laid out the proposed operating budget for the city of Palo Alto. In that communication, I had just pointed out that there were, in the proposed budget, there were a series just of possible cuts to human service contracts and to HISRAP and human service staffing in tier 2. So tier 2 is only being discussed if the council makes a decision that it needs to go to tier 2. So in yesterday's budget discussion about my department, there was no discussion about any need at that point to go to tier 2. And there was even a restoration of some of the cuts just generally in my department. And I'm not prepared to speak to those. Those are not relevant to the conversation at hand. So the one thing that did happen yesterday is that there was a recommendation from the Finance Committee to put in the parking lot. So if you're familiar with that term, that's just a list of items as they're doing the budget. They say, I might want to reconsider that, or we should look at that later on when they've looked at the whole budget, and then they kind of go back to the parking lot, and then they say, okay, what can we do now? So one of the items that went into the parking lot was actually an increase for HISRAP of $50,000 to the overall total. So that is just in the parking lot. So those parking lot items often get rediscussed by the Finance Committee when it meets again, or it goes directly on to the council. As I get that information, I will let you know. But there's no discussion at all of any of the tier 2 items.
If the parking lot discussion, if the item that's in the parking lot, which is HISRAP funding, becomes more than an asterisk, which it is at this point, I would like us as a commission to have some deliberative recommendations to return to council at that point.
Okay, I can just, if I may interject, Chair, is in regards to the timing of when those parking lot items will happen. I cannot tell you that will be, before or after your next meeting. So
okay,
those parking lot discussions could very well happen before the next meeting.
Okay, well, it's too early now, and it might be too late. But if it is a viable discussion to have at the next meeting, we will, because the parking lot item isn't increased back into the HISRAP program. So let us hopefully weigh in, and we'll go from there. So thank you. Are there any questions? Comments? public comment. All right, thank you. At this time, to give what I consider a phenomenal report where a lot of work has been put into this, I'll ask for Vice Chair Stinger to bring us up to date on the 100 community conversations. It's been a very busy time, very fulfilling time in this project. It's almost at launch, but there's been a lot accomplished. Yes.
So Mary, could you
Thank you.
share Valerie's presentation, please?
Oh, I think I've got it up. Is that okay?
You've got it up already, okay?
Is that okay if I just?
That is perfectly fine. We just wanted to be a backup if you needed it.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I do want to share an update. I'm going to just talk about the 100 community conversations on race. I want to find my notes where I'm going to use this presentation, but not going to use all of it. In case we have new commissioners in the audience, I just wanted to go over a little bit of the background to introduce new people and remind the existing commission that this came out of the work that we had done last winter. And we presented this to council that we were going to do this. It's a tremendous collaboration of different community groups that has proved valuable in obvious ways and in just human support. And it's just been delightful to have a large group of people supporting us. The vision is that Palo Alto will grow as a community characterized by belonging, vested in diversity, inclusion, and equity, and committed to putting words into action. And that Palo Alto becomes a community which can talk through tough issues and work to a resolution. Our specific goals are to have this conversation, and to identify areas where we can make personal commitments to change and where we can identify root causes and make some suggestions to address the structural racism that we believe exists in Palo Alto. So that was the background. Where are we?
Are you going to share the slides?
You can't see these?
No, ma'am.
Oh,
Just hit, yes, sorry.
thank you. I thought. Let me try hitting this again.
Yeah, we're seeing it now. If you just want to go start the slideshow and
I am so sorry.
that's perfect, Valerie.
Okay. I don't think I need to repeat the background.
No.
I'm just going to talk about where we are. We've spent this past month recruiting hosts. So we've been writing, speaking, nagging, coaxing people to sign up to host a conversation. We probably have 30 to 35 hosts, which is pretty good for this, a month ahead of the start of the conversations.
Valerie, we also have the mayor that has committed and has signed in, and the city manager will sign in. I got a verbal commitment yesterday from him also.
That's fabulous. And we have at least one council member is already signed up. We have representatives from all of the different organizations. This is the letter that we've been using. I share that because Minka has shared it with you, and I'm going to ask each of you to share it with 5 to 10 of your colleagues, if you would, asking them to host a conversation. It's a two-sided. There's a lot going on in Palo Alto right now to help people get grounded in the conversation. The library has a program, How to Get Anti-Racist, based on the book by Ibram Kendi, and they're sponsoring a lot of good educational programs and fun programs. The Black Index we heard from the Art Center director, Karen Kinzel, about, and it is as magnificent as she suggested. We have a toolkit that we will use in training, which we'll do next week for the hosts that have signed up. And it has some guidelines for listening, setting group norms. It includes the discussion guide that we will use in the conversations and a form to report out. What I wanted to point out about the toolkit, which is free to you as soon as you sign up, we will have them available to you. The discussion guide has some exercises in it, activities. One is the 4 corners and another is beyond the line that have been adapted for our particular application. And these came through Megan Swayze Fogarty, making introductions to people at Stanford so that we could have their counsel and have them help us pick appropriate activities. And I'm thrilled with the way this has come together. And we have a website, and this is where people can sign up, can register to host on this tab. And I think that's about it. We have the materials we need for training for the conversations. We will be dividing our steering committee into 3 groups to analyze the report backs. One will be things we might want to do in a school system, things we might want to, lessons we've learned about structural racism in Palo Alto, and personal commitments examples of personal commitments that people choose to make. I could use help with a trainer, all the materials prepared, and just would like to have some help doing the training. And again, sharing the letter to help us recruit more people to host. And I think that's my update.
All right. Thank you so much, Valerie. I just want to add a little bit to this. We had some, in the development of the toolkit, we were really fortunate that Megan Swayze Fogarty, who is the leads community relations for Stanford University, connected us with 2 or 3 individuals in different diversity departments and studies at Stanford University. We eventually worked with Mohammed Balais, I can't remember the last name, Mohammed, who is in the First Gen Diversity Inclusion Office. And we actually had about a 45-minute conversation with him, and then met with his team of 4 individuals to really go and flesh out the framework of this toolkit. So what we're doing on this toolkit is very well researched, very detailed, very well put together with some real world experience On top of that, we have a advisory committee that we've met with 3 times, which are 20 different community leaders that have given significant input on the toolkit, the outreach, and the format of it. So I feel very, Valerie has really led the effort on that. So I feel very good about it. I'd like to open up for commissioner feedback, questions, response. We'll go with 3-minute round robin, and then we will do public comments. So we'll start with Commissioner Tyrrell.
Yes, Commissioner Vice Chair Stinger, you mentioned that you needed some support for the trainings. Can you give a better idea of what that looks like and what the structure is, whether that's virtual, that sort of thing?
I'd love to, thank you. We have 2 1-hour training sessions scheduled, and I'm going to probably schedule a 3rd and maybe a 4th to handle the number of people. They will be virtual, about an hour. We also have received some help from a Stanford colleague, Shalala, in the medical school, who's put together a great training program, which we will adapt on how to listen. It's just superb. So we have an introduction on how to listen, and then a beyond the 4 corners exercise that is mostly to get people comfortable with the idea of the experience of being in somebody else's shoes. The 4 corners will be the target, the committer, the person who gets involved, the person who does not get involved. And we will walk through those 4 corners. And then we'll go through the discussion guide and the how-tos. So there's a little bit of experience and a little bit of practicality. And it's an hour. And there'll be probably a half an hour with me to just go over the materials, but the materials are all prepared.
So you're looking for support to be able to have others help you do some of these trainings?
Just because I think
that's what
training is
you're
always
looking
more
for.
effective when there's 2 people, if we could go back and forth.
Okay, and so it would be a partner, it would be to do the various trainings, but together and be able to, okay. What are my other questions? I hope that my signing up to be a host actually landed. I do believe I signed up to be a host.
Yes, I didn't want to.
Okay, good. Well, I guess there's no other questions other than that I would be willing, and I guess that this is over the next few weeks, like we
2
want to,
weeks, yeah.
these trainings need to happen over the next 2 weeks, yeah. So I don't know if times are already set, but I would be happy to work with you and see if there's a way for me to help you do some of the trainings. I volunteer to do that. I guess that's going past my,
I love it. Thank you.
I guess that means
let's not talk about past. Let's just keep going to future. Let's go to the future.
No, I mean, is that all right for me to do as something?
Yes,
I mean,
is.
I'm no longer going to be a commissioner. Okay.
Well,
that's all right. You're working with somebody who-
both of you are working as community advocates with the Human Relations Commission.
Sounds good.
That would be good fun. I do want to, you asked if your name had come across. That has been one of the best parts of this website, is it's all automated. So I've got a table with names and emails. This is not one of my outlandish requests of Minka or Mary. Please transcribe each name, and 100 names and 100 emails. So I know I see everybody's name come through.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Ricker.
Great work. I was wondering, how would someone, if they find out about this, I mean, I haven't got, and they just want to participate, but they don't have any group that they, do you assign them, or how would a person in a community become part of a group?
We have we've had that question several times and in several different ways. I would love to be able to have a table of participants and a table of hosts, but it's way beyond our bandwidth. So the process now is somebody signs up to be a host, like Sunita did, and I did.
Mhm.
We will invite 4 or 5 of our book club friends, our walking partners, our work colleagues, and have a conversation with 4 to 8 people. I guess if somebody in the community were to contact me, I could probably tell them that there are some hosts in particular organizations,
Mhm.
and then they might take it on themselves, but we're not formally going to match people up. We want it, part of it is, as I just said, it's beyond our bandwidth, but the other piece of it is, it's, some of these conversations are hard, and it might be better to have them with people that you have some familiarity with.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Patty. Question.
Commissioner Savage.
Yeah, well, Valerie, first, I just want to compliment you on the work you've done so far. You know, amazing as usual. Second, are you at liberty to name a few of the organizations that have already set up to do these conversations?
Yeah, I don't think it's a secret. Kiwanis is doing them, League of Women Voters, Channing House. I think we have the Junior League has sent some people in. Palo Alto Forward, the mayor, the city, Palo Alto Child Care. We have a range of ages and economic levels, some families, some individuals.
Okay, that's the impressive list so far. And have any conversations taken place yet or not?
Not yet.
Okay, and just to clarify, I know you'll be off the HRC, but you're still going to see this thing through, or at least, you know, participate in it, I hope.
I hope so too, yeah, I'd like to.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's all I've got.
Do we have any public comments?
No, we do not, Chair.
All right. Okay. Do we have any other commissioner questions? All right. We have tabled item number 5, which we will bring back for next time. Number 6, can we bring up the work plan? You're muted, Minka. This is where we currently have our work plan. The challenge I currently have with the work plan is that we're going to have to redistribute the items next month. Because, for example, inclusion, we will need to sign a new commissioner. Sorry, wow, my eyes are going bad. Community conversations, we're going to need to assign a new commissioner. Inclusion, hate crime policing, we're going to need to assign another commissioner. House and homelessness, we're also going to need to assign a new commissioner. And can we go down to public health, please? Public health is the only one that we will have to touch. Can I go second page, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at this point, I think we have the framework of the topics that we voted on that we want to work through. I just think our assignments are off. Staff, will council need any more from us?
Yes. So this is, if you're wondering where this document has come from, this is the document that was in the new commissioner handbook. So it isn't, you know, similar to a document the HRC has used in the past. So I have just, at a very cursory level, filled in some of the boxes, But at some point, we will be asked to submit this document to the city council for approval. So I need to get input from the HRC on the boxes that are not yet filled in. So the benefit if completed and the measures of success. I'm going to slowly scroll down to page 2. And these are just priorities that I selected myself. So that is something that can be changed as well. I will let you know that one of the differences, and I think you heard that if you went to the commission training, is the HRC has a different type of and broader mandates than some other commissions. So there was, because the process says that changes to the work plan need to be reapproved by the council, I added this statement, just forming what the HRC could do before going back to council. And then, so I'll just read it. The HRC will identify emerging issues in the community, prioritize those that need further attention, and bring any major initiatives, including those that involve significant staff time, to the council for action, for approval. So this allows the HRC to continue to be responsive on community issues as they come up, but this is the framework in which the commission would need to go back to council for any updates and approval to its work plan. So,
and just as a mechanics issue to that, the mayor indicated that those changes will be a consent calendar item, not a discussion item.
okay, that's great.
So that it's not, every time we change it, we don't have to wait the months on end for it to get added. It gets added as a consent item. So Commissioner Commissioner Savage, Commissioner Regehr, and myself, what I would like us to do is we've already voted as a commission. I would like us to take benefit if completed and measure of success. Let's look at those categories, fill them in. And at the next time, have a guided and framed discussion around those 2 criteria. So we could start the discussion tonight, but since there was no prep, we most likely forget something, or we might go off on a tangent. So for example, for measure of success, since I'm working with the community conversations with the vice chair, we have our measure of success was quantitative data, such as racial and ethnic demographic for all of those that are involved in the conversation, and then some quantitative data points, and there's a survey that we're working on. So that will be a measure of success for us there. So as we start looking at these other categories, we need to define what that measure of success looks like. And I would like to hear everybody's input. So I think if we come back next month and make this an agenda item and we'll put it for 20 minutes then, and each person will have a month to really think about what they want to see in that space. Does that make sense to everyone? Yes, Mika.
What I wanted to add, Chair, so this document, you can, in a way, do with what you will. So this is the document that needs to go to the city council to meet the purposes of getting approval for the work plan. What it isn't entirely, or really it is not, is kind of a guidepost or a map for the HRC commissioners that are working on these ad hoc subcommittees. So I will say that the other commissions in the community service department have looked at these work plans a little bit differently. I believe the Parks and Rec Commission, what they did is they have an overall document like this, but that, for instance, if you look at ours, inclusion and belonging, community conversation, they filled this out, they filled this document out just for that work plan item. And they're using that internally to guide their work. So that is not a requirement, but I do think it would be staff's recommendation that those that are on the ad hoc subcommittees, that this overall document be completed, but that they complete some type of internal document that they bring to this commission, so that you have a sense as a group, as a whole, what your fellow commissioners are working on, what goals they're working towards, and timeline, etc. How you do that is up to you, but I that is something the commission has always done in the past. I know at one point the vice chair came up with a document that put things in like in different quarters, and it listed all the liaison relationships and so forth. So that is a template we have as well. So that's direction I don't need tonight, but I would suggest that happen.
And I think we can really spend and do a deep dive on this next meeting, because before we go into our summer break, I'd like for us to at least have some time in the summer to start thinking and percolating through the different areas and working through them. Because although we're not meeting, there is still some work that can be done on our different areas, so that when we hit the ground in fall, we can really take off. And I think it's a great discussion to also acclimate our 2 new commissioners with. Does that make sense?
That works for me. I'm not sure if you were asking me or the other commissioners.
The best part is I got a nod from you, Commissioner Tira, and Commissioner Stinger. Mr. Savage, does that work for you? Commissioner Regier, does that work for you?
But you missed it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
I will stop sharing.
Thank you very much. I feel okay. So I want it to be a rich, robust discussion. I know that myself and Minka will be meeting or setting up a meeting with the 2 new commissioners. So I will give them the documentation ahead of time, so that they can, and give them some guideposts to what we've discussed in the past, and give them some meetings that they can look at and see where our discussion is, so that they can at least come to the table with a running start. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you. All right. Yes.
Could you see if there's any public comment on this item?
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
No, I don't see any names.
All right. We have minutes, Mary?
Do we have minutes? We have minutes.
Can we go through the list, please?
Did you want me to bring them up, or did you just want me to say February 5th is the first one?
Yeah. Okay, so we can do this one of 2 ways. If nobody has any significant issues, we can do this as a batch. If you have one that you want to pull because you saw an issue, say that now, and then I'll batch the rest of them. Does that make sense? Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes? And does anybody see anything that is not, that they need to pull at this moment? Okay, Mary, I'll make the motion if you just give me the dates.
February 5th, February the 11th, March the 11th, March 17th, and April 8th.
Okay. I want to make the following motion, that the 5 dates that were just presented by staff for minutes be approved as a batch after review of each commissioner. So I'd like to approve those minutes. Do we have a second on that one?
I second.
All right, let's do a vote. Commissioner Theriot.
Aye.
Commissioner Regier.
Hi.
Commissioner Savage.
Aye.
Commissioner Stinger.
Aye.
See, that's how quickly minutes can go. Thank you.
Commissioner
Yes.
Savage, we did not hear, at least I did not hear it. So just for official dumb, if you could just.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Let's work our way back. Staff, do you have any reports?
I do not, Chair.
All right, we're going to do commissioner reports. We're going to start from the bottom of the alphabet and go to the top of the alphabet. All of my activities, I've reported one way or another during the meeting. Again, I've been really deeply involved with Chair Stinger. We do our weekly meeting. We do our bi-weekly, sometimes quadruple weekly meeting. She's just an amazing lady and has done an amazing job. And I'm so grateful for all the work that she has done. Okay. The next report is Commissioner Stinger, Vice Chair Stinger.
I have nothing else to report.
Next commissioner report is Commissioner Savage.
Yeah, well, we, Commissioner Budgetary and I met regarding the emerging needs grants. And we had a good collaboration, good discussion, and we recommended that all 3 organizations that submitted applications be approved. Those recommendations are now in the hands of the Community Services Manager. And as soon as the decision is made, I guess Minka will be informed and she will let us know.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your work on that. Commissioner Gare.
I have nothing to report, but I have a couple of questions. And it's mostly to staff. I just noticed that our mission on the website is taken off and is a new web page. Like our mission statement's not even on there anymore. Can you address?
Well, we just have a new. Oh, go ahead, Mary.
You know, I'm sorry I didn't notice that it was. We do have a new website, and next week it's going to be actually updated. So all the commission pages look the same, and I will look into that. Thank you for noticing that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And then the other thing I was wondering, do you know, is there any, so I noticed that Chair Smith said we're not meeting in the summer. So when we come back, has there been any discussion about when we come back, if it's going to be live and if we're still going to continue with Zoom for those that are housebound?
We have not received any information as staff as to any timelines for re-engaging in public meetings yet. But when I hear, I will certainly let you know. Sometimes the chair is in conversations with the city manager or the mayor, so he might know more than me.
I know the council is in conversations about when they come back from their summer break. Generally, except for last summer, what happens is council and commissions usually take the month of July off into August, and then we come back and work through. So commissions and council usually sync up. So what has been indicated to me is that they're trying to figure out a hybrid in-person kind of plan for council, whether it is council in person and people Zoom in, or some people Zoom. They haven't figured that out. Knowing how most cities work, they'll probably work their way back from council and then work their way down through commissions. So I think that the barometer for us to watch is to see what happens with council. After they work through some of the intricacies there, they'll probably get to us. But I know there is some dialogue or discussion, and you know, like everybody that has to reopen something, there's safety, there's what the state says, there's what CDC says, and then as one of the leaders in my church he said, you can say anything you want, but people are still going to be very cautious for a long time, because the last things to change in a pandemic is people's mindset and caution. So there's a lot of different things to balance out. So hopefully that was helpful in the answer.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then my third, it's mostly questions that I have. And then when we approved the anti-Semitism to go to the mayor, do you know what that timeline is? Like, we were going to say we're going to do it after the, I'm just wondering.
I'm actually, I apologize. I was supposed to send it before I went on vacation. I did not. I will probably send it next week. I know me, staff, thank you. They brought it up to my attention late last week when I got back. So I am the current rate limiter, but I will address that and get it sent out in the next day or so. So
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
All right. You know, as a last item in our meeting, I am profoundly sad. Yes, ma'am.
Never mind. I just thought it was Trail's report to talk. I mean, sorry.
I'm about to get there. I'll get there. I'll get there. This commissioner has done an absolutely spectacular job. I cannot say how grateful I am. In my time on the commission, I have not seen a better beginning 7 months, and our hope was that she would be with us longer. I don't control that, but if I did, she would. But I would like Commissioner Barrow to make her final report. Well, final for this time. Hopefully, she'll be back. I pray. I hope we can convince her to come back if the opportunity presents itself, because she's done such a phenomenal job. Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'll start with the staff liaison because I did actually have one there, and then I'll go into my commissioner report. And then I had some thoughts. So I had a great phone meeting with Councilwoman Koo. She updated me on many of the various topics going on City Council, specifically and particularly around policing and the unhoused and housing. And then for the commissioner reports, as Commissioner Savage mentioned, we did the Emerging Needs Fund. I attended also a Project Sentinel webinar on fair housing protection for families. It was fascinating to learn all the ways that families are protected at the state and national levels. I also attended a UCSC talk titled Reparations for Black Americans and the Road to Racial Equality. That was inspiring and informative. And then I was asked to speak on a panel hosted by Vote 16 Palo Alto with board member Jennifer DiBrienza and council member Greg Tanaka. It was lovely to see the youth of Palo Alto, so students from Gun and Pali, mostly Pali and some Gun students getting engaged at an early age. And there was a presentation that was lovely by the Palo Alto BSU, so the Black Scholars United, presented on the history in Palo Alto of redlining and how it still plagues us today. And then there was a question and answer with the various students who were there. So those are my reports. And then since it's my last meeting, I had a few thank yous and thoughts that I will go ahead and read to you. So I wanted to start with thank yous. I mean, this has been a really fascinating sort of learning curve and experience to work with the HRC, just like the structure of things, the rules around how to engage, and then how to be productive at these meetings. So it's been a really interesting ride, and I've really enjoyed everything I've learned. And I wanted to start by thanking the folks who've been really helpful in all of this. So first, I wanted to thank Minka, who has always been very helpful and supportive in helping me get up to speed. There's many procedural things to learn, as well as different organizations that all fit together in complex ways. And Minka, you've been incredibly supportive and patient as I ask many questions. And I'm sorry that your investment in me was very short term. We'll see, as Chair Smith said, if I come back. I also would be remiss before I get to the commissioners to not thank Assistant Police Chief Andrew Binder for making the time to meet with me and engage in frank and open conversations about policing. He helped me get a better understanding from the inside, as well as listen and share experiences of mine from the police side. I want to thank all of my fellow commissioners who welcomed me and took the time to reach out and help me learn the ropes, whether it was for CBDG grants or liaison roles. I think for future HRC members, it is so important for the veteran HRC members to extend a hand to the new commissioners as they come into their role. One by one, so Commissioner Savage, we didn't get to work very closely together on anything so far in my short time, since the PAPD liaison role was slow to get moving, but I know you're a veteran in the city politics. in city politics, and I appreciate your cool presence, especially when you help the HRC stay focused and grounded when things at times got heated or off track. I would like to also warmly thank Commissioner Regier for all her knowledge and experience around the unhoused. I really enjoyed working on these issues with you for the brief time that we had, and I hope you can join with the new commissioner and carry our energetic and passionate ideas forward. As well, I want to thank Chair Coloma for welcoming me and always answering all of my questions. Between all the dozens of other responsibilities you're juggling, I don't know how you do it with all the calls and the texts and all the different worlds that you're a part of. I thank you for listening and oftentimes giving yourself more work when I felt maybe more voices ought to be heard or suggested that we cast a wider net. And last but not least, and I put you last, Commissioner Stinger, just because you're leaving, I suppose. I want to thank you, as I did earlier, for your constant encouragement, your mentoring, your endless hard work. You were a real and are a real inspiration to me on the HRC, and you single-handedly made working alongside you as a commissioner a delight. Even reviewing so many grants for CBDG and making very difficult choices was more enjoyable and rewarding than I had imagined it could be. This was in large part thanks to you. You'll be sorely missed on the HRC, and your contributions were great. And it looks like we'll be working together shortly for a little while longer on these trainings. I'll end by saying that while I was surprised and slightly disappointed to not get a 3-year term so that I could really dig in, I'm very proud of the work that I did. And I would like to end with a few personal reflections and hopes that I have for, give me 1 second, I lost my spot here. Some of the hopes that I have for the HRC going forward, given the intended mission of the Human Relations Commission. I will admit in all of this work that it was not always comfortable to raise certain issues that I felt needed raising. It was not always comfortable to speak about systemic racism and white male supremacy, words that most people in Palo Alto at least feel a bit or very uncomfortable hearing. Having grown up half white in Canada with lots of white privilege, myself being hyper-educated and being part of the global elite, I see the ease with which I've learned to move in this system that values white Euro features over all others. What I believe is needed on this commission and at all levels of local and national government is for us to get uncomfortable and have difficult conversations. We need more diverse voices. We will not make our communities and countries safer places and places where people feel they belong by putting our heads in the sand. Both in Palo Alto and nationally, we have a problem with our policing. We have problems with our exclusionary, historically and current housing practices. We have a long legacy of a systemic racism that will not go away by simply pretending it isn't there, or that we don't do that anymore. The truth is, there is much work to do. And if we're brave enough to do it, our communities and country will thrive, and everyone will benefit from this work, including white folks. So it was an honor and a lot of work to have been able to serve. I'm grateful for the learnings and the experience, and I would be lying if I didn't say that I'm also hugely relieved to not have to spend the next 3 years, which I would have done gladly, but to not have to spend the next 3 years spending a lot of time on HRC volunteer work, while also feeling like I'm swimming upstream against a very strong current. So thank you, everybody. And yeah, we will meet again at some point when COVID lets us out.
Wow, thank you. That was absolutely beautiful. We're going to get this Commissioner 7, and we'll get you back. I'm speaking it into the air. HRC, this is the end of a season. I don't know what the next season will bring, but both of these commissioners have given us so much of themselves, and they have done an amazing job. And I know that we will miss them profoundly. So, but the work continues, and we're grateful that they, their heart's in the right place, because they continue to help us even after they have termed off. And that's the kind of heart they both have. So we're grateful for both Commissioner Terrell and Commissioner Stinger. As we go into our next season, let us learn the valuable lessons of dedication, work, and community focus they both have taught us, and use it as models moving forward. everybody. Commissioner Savage, I think I broke my record. I think we're gonna get out of here. What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? Hi. Oh, we have a council liaison with us. So
And we have to do agenda planning, Chair.
agenda planning. Okay, let's do agenda planning.
Or
Okay.
just, agenda suggestions.
We have 2 items that we have to add back into agenda, 3 items that we have to add back into agenda. Item 1 is the housing and homeless that Commissioner Gare asked us to table.
Can I just, can Bruce don't give a report? If he has one? Because that was a part of the agenda.
Sorry, just got done with my last meeting, so don't know where we're at.
We're at the end.
We're at the end.
Well.
You see, you were at an old timing. This will just be warm up right here. We should get the public comments. How you doing, Councilmember Stowe?
Doing fine. How are you, Chair Smith?
I am doing good. Thank you for joining us. I know how it can be meeting after meeting after meeting, so thank you for taking time to be with us.
Not a problem. I'm glad I was able to make it then before you left. I don't really have a report, just to make sure it's on everybody's radar that council is going through, of course, the budget season, which I'm sure you're all aware, and there are several proposed cuts that I know would impact a lot of the interest of the Human Relations Commission, as well as opportunities, I think, too, for maybe some increased funding for his rap services or others. There are several areas where, if any commissioner in your individual capacity wants to advocate, there's going to be several opportunities for that in the next coming months. And I know we'll be taking up the budget on Monday's meeting, and then the final budget decision will be on June 21st. So just to put that on everybody's radar.
You are very prescient in your comments, because that was going to actually be our next agenda item. In agenda planning, we want to make sure we have the budget item that we discussed at this meeting. So we will go into more detail as the budget season goes on and things get more fleshed out, and we start seeing if tier 2 is a possibility, and if items in the parking lot, like the HISRAP funding comes more from a parking lot item to a more significant item or more significant consideration. So that will be an agenda item for us. We will have our housing and housing insecurity reporting, and we will do a report. I will do a report out on community conversations. Am I missing anything?
Work plan.
Huh? Work plan. You see, I'm dodging that like a bullet, aren't I? I keep forgetting it, Commissioner Gare. I'm like, let's not do that part. We have some homework to do. We're going to look at that work plan. If your subcommittee wants to come up with some input on where we go, I want to make that a robust discussion, because as we go into the summer, I want to give us each some homework on our work plan items, so that when we come back in the fall season, we're not trying to restart, we're more trying to ramp out of it and really get on the ground running. Is there anything else? Minka, did I miss any other?
Not that I can think of at this moment, but that doesn't mean that something may not come up.
We've had a rough year, HRC. We've had a rough year. We have met more since last March than I know it. Minka, you've been working with HRC. I think, if I counted it right, I think there are 4 or 5 months out of this 1-year period where we met 2 or 3 times in a month as a full commission on top of that. So this year, I think as the world opens, I want us to have that 1-month break with council. I want to encourage everybody, travel, see family, do some things, be safe, but I do not plan on us having a meeting in July to reflect council. Is that all right with everyone? Okay. No, I think I got a fully unanimous vote on that one. All right, everybody, enjoy. We will see you in the next at the next meeting in June. and we'll go from there. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. See you soon.